Felix Kolawole Bajomo, in full Senator Felix Kolawole Bajomo. I'm a director of Omatek Group of Companies, and at the same time, the chairman of Omatek Computer Company Limited, which is a subsidiary of Omatek Group of Companies. And I became a director of Omatek since 2009. There are not many kinds of Omatek kind of organization in this country. The know-how in terms of hardware engineering of computer is very minimal. And the need to begin to look at the real sector of the economy in terms of economic development, that is manufacturing and agriculture, it's very, very important for Nigeria's economy. Unless we begin to look at industries from a local content point of view, Nigeria's ability to solve its problem in terms of unemployment rate would be a mirage. What Omatek had done, it's a very, very bold step to penetrate into what one can call a virgin land, something that had never been done, that had never been tried. In other words, Omatek is making itself available as a guinea pig. But guinea pig in the sense that it's a sacrifice. But this one will not be a sacrifice. That will be a loss that one would tend to regret. Because from what I had seen, I believe that the right person had ventured into the right sector. It's like setting up an assembly plant. Nigeria had attempted to do that in the past. Volkswagen assembly plant, Peugeot assembly plant. But you see, this kind of setup could not stand the test of time because of technological advancement and improvement. And the condition under which this was set up was such that it cannot guarantee the monopoly or extensive accommodation by the local consumers, because freedom of choice is very wide. And the fact that you assemble a Volkswagen or a Peugeot motor vehicle industry here does not necessarily mean that Nigerians automatically will buy into it. So it has to be done in a manner that will be competitive with anything coming from outside, because our market is open, it's not restrictive. And that is part of the commitment to the World Trade Organization. So in the same vein, what Omatek had ventured into is to begin to produce computers that are totally knocked down and absolutely assembled here. Over time, some of those knocked down parts, the local content aspect of it will begin to develop. Maybe at the moment it's about 90%. It is possible that in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, it could be 70%, it could be 60%, it could be 50%, until such time that local content involvement in the composition of what the desktop is will have been reduced to a minimal level. It is not peculiar to Nigeria. Nigeria has what it takes to be able to produce this thing at a cheaper rate if it has a good labor that is intelligent and of good quality. That's exactly what is happening in the US and in Europe. Some of them are now taking their businesses in terms of manufacturing to China because there is a quality and quantity supply of labor. So they are able to produce something in China at a much cheaper rate with the same kind of quality labor that would have been found in Europe or the US. In the same manner, that is being done here now, because the emphasis on what the computer engineering is doing now in Omatek emphasis is on Nigerian qualified engineers. So in a way, we are benefiting from a transfer of technology not because we are stealing it, but because we are making it our pain to buy into it, to look into it, to train our people from the source, either from China or from Taipei or from Singapore or from what have you, or from Silicon Valley. And that is going to improve the quality of Nigerians' knowledge in computer engineering. And at the end of the day, Nigeria can only be better off for it. Well, we have not started manufacturing computer from base. We're still relying on NKD, the totally knocked down spare parts, and is absolute knockdown spare parts. It is not a semi-assembled or partially assembled. If you want to corroborate what I'm telling you, go and have a look at the factory. And that's exactly what is being done. But the beauty about it is that these spare parts that are being brought here have guarantee and have been conditioned to suit Nigeria's weather, Nigeria's market, Nigeria's handling of issues, and so forth and so on. I had known the group managing director of Omatek since 1988 or thereabout, when the computer literacy was just at its infant stage. And at that time, I was one of the executive directors in Union Bank. And I had the foresight that it is going to be an IT world, and that any organization that cannot pride itself in having labor that are computer literate would likely run into trouble. And so we took the trouble then to engage Florence Seriki to begin to impart this knowledge to the cross-section of the executives in Union Bank. And Union Bank was blazing the trail then. And I can assure you that at that time, when you look back to 1980, 89, Union Bank was one of the very few organizations that could pride itself of having highly knowledgeable, computer literate labor at a high level. So I knew of her ability and capability. I knew of her dedication, doggedness, and determination. And apart from the fact that she's a very intelligent person who applies her intelligence in the most profitable manner. So I had no problem really in deciding to identify with her objective and her goal. And I don't see any reason why I should feel jittery. There had been time when one had need to be apprehensive. The apprehension did not come from the incompetence or incapability or inability of the group managing director. The apprehension came from the aspect of the Nigerian very harsh environment towards accommodating this kind of outfit, because there was no sacred treatment, no egg treatment of an infant industry like the Omatek just had to find its level like all others. And unfortunately, we also had a financial crash in the world economy, and Nigeria was not excluded. That gave me some apprehension, and I was not too sure as to how we were going to go about it to survive the crisis, which was not peculiar to Omatek, which was something that was general. But because Omatek is at its infant stage, I wasn't sure whether we have the muscle and the flesh to be able to absorb this setback in the economy. But as it turns out, we have gone through the difficult period. And as you can see, we are coming out of it, and we are going to be better off for it because we have learned our lessons. And like I said, Omatek is not the only one in this situation. Many other organizations, in fact, have folded up. Some have diversified. Some have gone into some other kind of things. You can see what is happening. Before now, we had about how many banks in this country, 72 or 82 or what have you. Now they've been reduced to about 12 or probably less than that. So whatever the market that was in those days, for those who deal with the banks, are strong. So they had to strategize and begin to diversify and to look into whatever it is they can do. But as I see it, computer engineering world, production of laptop, desktop, Androids, iPad, and what have you, is the market is huge and it cannot diminish. It will continue to increase because computer education is an ongoing exercise. And you'll be surprised that even primary school children these days are becoming computer literate, not to talk of secondary school children. So it's growing day by day. So it is not a computer literacy of the tertiary institution alone, of the private sector executive alone, but it's also now permeating the civil service structure. Director, assistant director, assistant secretaries, executive officers, and so forth and so on, are now beginning to turn to the usage of computer to be able to facilitate the execution of their duties and their assignments. And it helps them in their own capacity to be able to do that. I can assure you that an assistant director or a director who is computer literate and does most of the things on the computer will be more efficient and will be faster than somebody who is still relying on analog and handwork. That is a change. If you don't live with the change, you will die. If the civil service system does not take into consideration and encourage and in fact insist and compel the people, the workforce, to educate themselves computer literacy wise, then the civil service system is going to be short. It will exist, it will survive, but it will only exist. It cannot live. To live is different from existing. And competence, efficiency will be part of the dividends of computer literacy. And if you now have a company that is now producing computer here and it's available for you to use, in other words, it's creating wealth, it's creating employment opportunities for our people. For as long as you continue to buy computers outside this country, vis-a-vis against the one that is being produced here, you are transferring employment opportunities to the outside world instead of you to be supporting the employment opportunities for Nigeria. But the fact of the case is, the Dell of this world, the HP of this world, I don't really want to mention him so that I don't want to be seen to be criticizing any particular model, but I'm not criticizing. But they are the state of the art kind of computers that are very well known. And people like to identify with something that has been tested. But I will just tell people that if you can afford it, take a tablet, take a laptop of Omatek, and take another laptop imported. In terms of hardware, in terms of speed, in terms of quality deliverance, compare the two. I have done it, and I have no regret at all that I stick to computer, Omatek computer. There's a common Latin word which says videre est credere, meaning that to see is to believe. If a product, the ability for you to sell a product, even food items, apple, mangoes, plantain, what have you, any kinds of apparels for wearing, even pair of glasses, even ornaments. If they are not well packaged, it will not be attractive to the eyes. The very first thing that attracts the eyes is the packaging, the beauty. If you don't do that, no matter how reliable, how good your product is, that is not sufficiently known in the market yet, people will not look at it. They said, eyes like to see beauty. Eyes don't insist on looking at something that is ugly. And I don't know if I can get you a sample of Omatek laptop, and I have one around the corner. I want you to see the way it was packaged, the way it is packaged, and the way it is made, the back side, the front side, the inside, and so on and so on. You will see that ecstasy has not been sacrificed. It is The determination to achieve his goal, the determination to achieve his objective, and that is to sustain his mission and vision to be a reference point in the computer engineering, hardware, assembly, and in fact, towards the end, reducing the local content of such assembly to the barest minimum, in which case they would then be improving on their manufacturing ability to be able to put things together that are totally or sufficiently Nigerian. I don't know whether there's any other computer engineering company that is quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And being quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange has its very, very positive implications. That is, for that organization, there is no hiding place as long as facts issues are concerned for the organization. Corporate governance will have to be respected. So I think that is standing Omatek in good stead. They have been part of the capital market development. They have also been part of the capital market crash. They have also been part of capital market resurgence and the progress that we are now beginning to witness. You see, the support for infant industry, the support for local industry from the government and from the private sector can still be improved upon. Nigerians should be more patriotic, and leadership can be an example of such patriotism.